However, most people don't recognize that because most honest people won't tell them to their face they're dunce. Because if you're grown and still got to be convinced about a divine order or a love, then you're definitely not qualified to operate in a civilized world. Somebody need to have you on a leash. Of course, when they do that, we get insulted, don't we? You get the point? Huh? Do you see why certain people, when they travel the world, there's certain people that just run around all free, and a certain group of people, particularly, if they're going to other people's country, they're usually on some boat tour, and they don't let them go too far from the shore or some little hotel. And they get insulted and called racism, don't they? But everybody in the civilized world knows that those such persons do not honor their mothers and fathers. And since they don't, you know they're dangerous to you. Because they'll sell you out for a few pieces of silver. Do you understand? That's how the civilized world see these people. They don't talk to them because we like to burn and fight. And we get hostile very quickly. And so they won't tell you these things. They'll just come here and make economic progress like every other civilized being while we keep on talking about our beliefs and how saved we are, while our babies are dying, our families are falling apart. But we're saved. We're hypocrites. Back to point. The Franciscan Brotherhood, when they overthrew the empire, the Maghrib, they needed a rule of law in order to govern the defeated people, which is why they took the children from the mothers. Because the mothers carried the principles of civilization as well as the wealth. Are we clear? Why do you see the tradition of women in the Asiatic and African countries always wearing bands of gold around the neck, around their arms, the jewelry, even in their turbans and their fezzes, etc., the jewelry? Because the wealth of the family was maintained by the women. Why? Matriarchy. Are we understanding this? Are we clear? We clear? If you go into history and are not aware of that, that does not mean that in this mental state that we're in now that we can go to those principles because we're corrupted. But if you go into history and not know that, you're going to go into history with a wrong frame of mind, wrong frame of reference. Are you clear? The Franciscan Brotherhood established the Christian black codes of 1724 to govern the defeated Moors, who are branded Negroes, blacks, and colored, came directly from the church. That was adopted from William Lynch, the master Christian slaveholder from the Atlantis Islands that you call Dominica, Puerto Rico, that area, Haiti, that area. That's the Atlantis Islands. And he came up and he spoke to the Christian slaveholders here in North America on how to institute the psychic attacks of their Roman forefathers in order to put these people in check so they could perpetrate this for hundreds of years rather than having to keep fighting them, guarding them with guns and lynching them because they was losing property. So they had to figure out a way for them to become zombie-like and to perpetuate this mentality themselves. So it was important to Christianize them. This is why our people go to church every Sunday. It's in the black codes. I don't have them here, and I don't want that to be the subject matter, but I'll show you the direct article. And all these Asiatics should be aware of what governs them, shouldn't they? Don't they always tell you they know Jesus? Don't they always tell you they know God? They know Allah? They know Moses? Don't they always tell you that? Don't they fill these houses every weekend and contribute to the tunes of millions of dollars? They don't even know the rules that govern them. Do you see the problem? Do you see the problem? So logically, they wouldn't know that that birth certificate and that marriage certificates are bonds because they don't deal with those matters because their beliefs don't support it. Doesn't change the reality, does it? Because a person's in denial, does that change reality? Does reality change because a person don't want to deal with reality? Huh? So, if these Asiatics here are all bonded and thereby have no rights, and then accuse the rest of the civilized world of prejudice because they're absent of rights, and don't recognize that their birthright has been stolen, is the rest of the world responsible to their ignorance? When the birthright is founded in the honor of their own mothers and fathers, and recognized by the world only thereby. Are you following me? If you were a European slaveholder, Dutch master, and you've got these Asiatics in chattel bondage, and after 5, 6, 7 generations, they're still transacting business in your family names, would you not file a bond against them? Would you be wrong to? Should anything that you buy or sell with the mark or the number of their name be bonded to their corporation and not to anything to your benefit? Is that unjust? If you got a body of people who are not called by their father's names, that keep transacting business in somebody else's name, that keep arguing about what's unfair and what's right and what's wrong, and the world ignores them, is the world wrong? However, they usually think that the world's wrong, don't they? But it's a lack of knowledge, not a lack of really trying, because they do a lot of things to try to fix this thing. They got all kinds of organizations to try to fix this thing. They just can't figure out why they can't do it. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
And when they go into the ancient culture, they'll go into it with a papal mind, the Franciscan Brotherhood's mentality, instead of the mentality of their forefathers. Back into the egg. Look back into the hole from which they were dug. Turn your hearts back to the principles of your ancient mothers and fathers if you want to be rescued. Ain't nobody gonna come here with no mystery thing and fix nothing. The truth is gonna set you free and nothing else. And if you don't want to deal with it, you got a right to be enslaved. And the rest of the world got a right to live off your birthright, so don't feel as though you've been and are being mistreated. Because if you don't honor your mothers and your fathers, and the law comes from your mothers and your fathers, and you keep saying it belongs to him, hey, guess what? That's an agreement, isn't it? And that agreement, if you declared out your mouth that the constitutional principles of civilization belong to the Europeans, you waived your rights. And if he claims it, which he's doing anyway, yeah. If I'm outside and I'm saying, man, I ain't into all this stuff, man, and I start, this stuff is way in my pockets down, and I start throwing it down, what, people ain't supposed to walk past and pick it up?
Okay.
So if people willing to give up their birthright for a little welfare check or something else, why should they be mad? They sell their birthright for a bowl of red pottage. Because that's what these people did. But they blame the rest of the world, don't they? Because they dishonor their mothers and their fathers. They claim that the Nazarene is a Roman. They put him on the walls as a Roman, knowing he had hair like lamb's wool, skin like Burns grass, just like that. They're the hypocrites. They're the liars. But they accuse the civilized world of mistreating them. That's us, don't we? And when everybody feels sorry for us, don't we? Huh? Well, guess what ain't gonna happen? However, to understand that is to understand why Noble Ali set up the old Canaanite temple to nationalize the people. You understand the process. You understand why it was done. Meaning, it's not in a vacuum. It's a countermeasure to Roman activity in the Western Hemisphere. If the history is presented to you, nationalization makes sense. If nationalization is presented to you without a knowledge of law and history, it can, but doesn't necessarily come to you to be reasonable, for you to really understand why it was done. It must be taken out of the belief stage into the knowledge stage. So giving you the root cause and dismiss the symptoms, not that you dismiss them, but to explain them for what they are. And recognize if you fix the root, you ain't got to worry about the poison ivy riding up and down your house all the time. Stop picking the leaves off, because it's going to grow back. Get the root. And so if you don't fix the root of the problem, I mean, if you don't reclaim your birthright,